Good, wonderful. Oh, this is good. This is fine, wonderful. See, it's so good. Okay, so let's go again. Let's start. Look, because we had a little interruption, but let's begin again. Aaron is the ideal Jew. Aaron is the ideal Jew. The purpose of the Jewish people is to bring blessing to the world, to make the world a holy place, a godly place, a perfect, a healthy place. And that's the job of the Jews. But sometimes there can be impediments and delays and spiritual obstacles. The people don't deserve the blessings, or they don't deserve the blessings now, or they don't deserve big blessings. And so Aaron's job was to make sure that the blessings come down and that they come down fast. And that was represented by Aaron's staff growing almonds, because it says that almonds takes 21 days to grow. Not like I said 14, I think, yesterday. I don't know where I got that number from. 21 days to grow. The fastest growing fruit. And that's the thing of Aaron, that he made things happen, and he made it happen fast. He made the blessings come down quickly. Blessings. That was the thing of Aaron, to bring the blessings down. Korach didn't like that. Korach opposed Aaron. How did he oppose Aaron? He said that I don't think we need all these blessings and all this stuff. You just get rid of the bad, and the good will come automatically. Get rid of the bad, and the good will be revealed. And in fact, that's what's going to be in the days of the Moshiach. It says that because there's going to be such revelation of God or whatever, but nevertheless, the world will be filled with the awareness of God. Why? Because all the bad will be gone. There won't be any more bad. There won't be any more evil in the world. Huh? The world can get along good without addictions and without wars and without famine. All those bad things, they're extra in the world. We don't need those things, right? With disease and poverty, those things are extra. God provides life. God provides food. Zanu Mofarnes to call. God provides life. God provides food. God provides opportunity. God enables people to work. God has who to work for. There's supply and demand, etc. That's sort of why, by the way, why capitalism is good, because there's the minimum amount of control. You let God do more. You put more things in the hands of God, right? True, there could be, sometimes people succeed and they try to take control. Good, that's not good. But in generally speaking, it's not based on control. Any system can be misused. The ideal thing is that you should allow people to, a healthy person, he reveals his potential, and he reveals that there's some people who need some of the talents that he's got, some of his potential, and that's going to be a good world. You just take away the bad. That's what Korach said. Korach said, you just take away the bad stuff from the world, the depression and the aggression and this, you take that away from the world, and that's enough. The world is going to be a good place. And Aaron said, you're right, it will, but the only way that's going to happen, that the bad stuff gets rid, is cleaned out from the world, is only if there's blessings. There has to be blessings, and the blessings have to come down. It all depends on God's kindness. You can't get rid of the bad by means of severity. By severity. There has to be also love, understanding, mercy. And that is difficult. That's very difficult, because a lot of times people don't want blessings. People are not deserving. And you have to find a way to get blessings to these people. And that's the thing of Aaron. So it says this was all represented by Korach taking a garment of the talit. And the talit has a blue strand to it, which blue indicates the power of God to get rid of bad things, to eliminate bad. Tichle means to get rid of the tchelet is blue. Tichle. And Korach said, just blue, just get rid of the bad stuff, right? And that's good enough. You don't need any tzitzit. The tzitzit, that represents blessings that come down. You don't need any of that. You just get rid of the bad, and that's good. Why did Korach think that way? Because that was his nature. That was his nature. He was from the Levites, and the Levites, they were severe. So you don't need any of that, right? Don't need any of that. And he had a good point. His point was, listen, when Mashiach comes, that's what it's going to be. There's not going to be any bad in the world, right? Everybody's going to reveal what's good. I mean, a little bit of an example of this, we're talking sort of up in the air, but a little bit of the example of this was in the 6 Day War. When there was the 6 Day War and Israel won miraculously, the whole world was in awe. The whole world respected us. Suddenly, we didn't have any enemies. Suddenly, even the United Nations was, I mean, it was obvious, and all these nations, they wanted to destroy us and kill us. They had these massive armies, and the whole world was quiet. And all of a sudden, just 6 days, that's it. Everybody saw it was a big miracle. Everyone saw. And the Rebbe even said that this is a sign of what's going to be in the time. That's like the big shofar that the Mashiach is going to sound. He even wrote a mimer about it. There's a mimer that's written. That's what happened. All the bad was done away with. All of a sudden, it was revealed good. Because the world is essentially good. That's what Judaism teaches. The world is good. The world is good. This world is infinitely better than going to heaven. This world is good. So you get rid of the bad, and what's revealed is what's left, good. That's the essence of the world, good. So that's what's going to be. That's what Korach wanted. Korach wanted a world where you just get rid of the bad, and Aaron knew it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Once in a while you can have, and here we see an example. Let's take the example of the 6 Day War, right? The 6 Day War, that's it. The whole world was on their knees, the whole world, right? Did it get rid of the bad? No, the Israeli government stood up and said, listen, it was a mistake. We didn't mean it. We're just like you. We're like everybody else. We didn't mean to win. It was a big accident. It was a fluke. That we'll prove it. We'll give all the land back. Jews are like everybody else. We just have really good pilots. And it was luck. It was luck. The whole thing was luck. It has nothing to do with God, with Judaism, with nothing whatsoever. So we see that the big miracle that got rid of the bad, it didn't get rid of the bad. It was still there, but in its power. So Aaron said the only way you can do it is you have to have good. Okay, so he says, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu, we got off to a late start. Here we go. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu, so Moses replied back to Korach. Korach said, all you need is blue. All you need is the blue garment. You don't have to have all these blessings with kindness, with love, and all this mushy stuff. Nah, what are you talking about? Judaism is strict, and there's the laws, and God gave it, and the people who do it will be saved, and the won't. Well, that's it. It's their fault. And Moses said you can't do things like that. So that's Moses where he got back to him and said that no, even a talit that's totally blue, it has to have these strands. Because the whole thing of Torah and the commandments is to draw down blessings of godliness below into the world. Not to destroy the bad, but to somehow or other transform it. And the only way you can do that is by showing the bad what's good. Well, Kamaimah, like it says, in Rutz Libcha Shuv Lechad, if your heart runs to God, you want God, come back to the world, come back to one. In other words, don't leave the world, don't just be connected to God alone. You have to connect God to the world. Why? Because the world is just a creation of God. God wants to be revealed here. He doesn't want the world to be separate and that you should leave it. Below die, it's not enough. It's not good enough just to go be closer and closer to God. That's basically what Korach wanted. Just pure godliness, that's all. Bad things, they're a problem. That's like the Levites. The Levites, the whole thing of Levites was going up. We said before that the Levites, in order to their inauguration, said they had to shave their beards. They had to shave all their hair, no hairs. In order that there should be revelation of godliness in the world, the bechinas or panini, in an internal, personal way, that everyone should appreciate the Creator in their own individual way, from above to the or panini, an inner light, milamaila mishtalshlus, from above. The whole entire creation should be here. This is only by means of strands. Pure godliness coming into the world. You can't do a thing like that, says Korach. You can't do it. You reveal a blast of godliness, and the bad get rid of the bad automatically. Says Aaron, but that's not what we want. We don't want to destroy the bad. A lot of that bad can be redeemed. How do they say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater? The bathwater is all dirty. There's bad things in the world we have to get rid of, but there's good inside of it, right? The reason that things are dirty is because there's a baby there. We're washing the baby. It's just dirt is on the outside. But in order to get rid of it, you have to not identify the baby with the bathwater. You can't identify the good things which are in the world together with the bad things in the world just because the world happens to be bad. So he says the only reason you can reveal good in the world is by means of these strings. That these are drawing down lights of God into the heart, in an inner way. And that's what we're supposed to be doing when we do the commandments. We're supposed to realize when we do a commandment, a Jew does a commandment, you should be not just doing it and saying the blessing, you should be thinking also what's going on. This is pure godliness. This is the will of the Creator. It's above time. It's beyond time or space. It's pure Creator in the creation. The commandments are just very, very small things. They're physical things. This is the same thing as the strands. Just like these strands, Haim Tzimtzumim. 1 minute. One minute. Can I do this? What are these strings? 1 minute. We have a problem over here. What's going on over here? Why is there a problem? Why are there problems? 1 second. Why is there we go. Okay, here we go. Yes. So we have to have the, is this ever going to end? Here we go. Strings there. Excuse me. It's just not working properly. Why is it not working properly? Why? What is going on over here? I am screen sharing. The screen should be there. 1 second. Oh, there it is. Good. Okay. So it says there has to be these strings. The strings are saratuchutim. If not, lo yim shuchlal won't be drawn down. In order to draw down pure godliness into the world can't take it. It's too real. Godliness is too real. So what does God do? God makes these commandments, and in the commandments is drawn down a very, very thin, how do you say, free sample, if you want to call it. It's not free because you have to do something of godliness. A little taste of godliness is drawn into the world. That's drawn down and revealed below. But it's concealed in a surrounding way. There alone. The main thing is it should be drawn down in a revealed way. In a revealed way, namely by means of these. If there was too much godliness, it wouldn't be revealed in the world. Therefore, there has to be little strands of godliness, and that's represented by the strings of the tzitzit. Therefore, ein betalit shum kedusha. Therefore, the garment of the talit itself is not holy at all. And you can even use with the talit itself, you can use it to wash your car, which is not the case. The tzitzit. It says the tzitzit, even though they're technically not holy, the tzitzit, but you're not supposed to use them for a mundane purpose. It says you're supposed to wrap them up if you throw them away so that they don't become dirty. Technically, the tzitzits are something like a Hanukkah menorah or a knife, a slaughtering knife. It itself is not holy. It's used for a holy purpose. But nevertheless, because it's used for a holy purpose, therefore you have to give it, I say, respect. You have to respect. But the garment is absolutely nothing holy about the garment. Nothing about the holy. It says, even though that the talit it hints at a surrounding level of godliness, and it's a very, very high level of godliness, and it's much higher. The talit is a much higher level of God, represents a much higher level of godliness than the tzitzit. With the tzitzit, they are just individual strands, and they're what's called an inner light, an inner godly light. My pointer over here. They're an inner godly light. Nevertheless, this is This is self-understood. He anotenet should be penei gadol ma'alasa, because the talit represents such a high level of godliness, which is therefore ein yochlot, it can't be drawn into this world. We don't have to, so to speak, respect it because it's a level which is incomprehensible. You don't understand it. Lamata klal. It's almost like telling a person, you just won the lottery. How much money do you get? Infinite. What does that mean, infinite? An infinite amount of money. I mean, can I withdraw this money? No. You can only withdraw either the whole sum or not. So what do I withdraw? An infinite amount of money. That's what you can withdraw. Go to the bank and see. Go to the bank. My name is Bolton. I won the lottery. Oh yeah, I read about it in the papers. I'd like to withdraw the money. I'm sorry, you have to withdraw everything or nothing. Okay, so I'll withdraw everything. Oh, we don't have that type of money here. Well, who does? There's no bank that is. So I can't really withdraw the money. What does it mean? Well, I'm sorry, sir, but that's not our problem. I'm sure you can talk to the office and maybe they can advise you. It's like, the talit represents an aspect of godliness that's not usable. It's like before he created the world. What does that mean? So, like everybody says, the well-known question: if God created the world, then who created God? I mean, it's a question because if God created the world, it must be that He could be created too, right? Everything is created. So the answer is God is not a thing. So if He's not a thing, how did He create the world? So we don't understand. It's impossible. But not only did He create the world, He's creating the world right now. And that is a little bit understandable. But the fact that God is above that God gave the Torah, this is not even in the realm of comprehension. It makes no sense whatsoever. He says that's represented by the talit, and that's what's going to be revealed in the raising of the dead. And that's what Korach wanted to do right now. We said we don't need all your little commandments and your little strings. We want pure godliness. But the world can't take that. Of the tzitzit, but the tzitzit, because they're little strands and they're what's called an inner light of godliness, they can draw godliness down into the world by means of this contraction and what is it, articulation, in a way of hairs. Therefore, it can be in tzitzit, which are physical. Lochen, therefore, even a talit, which is all blue. And blue, we said, is similar to the sea, which that's the malchut, the speech, the creative power of God, God's speech. And the sea is similar to the heavens, which the heavens, we said that's the surrounding level of godliness, right? That's the blue. Nevertheless, you have to have the strings. Even if the garment is totally blue, you have to have one string of blue. She'em nimim, which these are individual strands, and it's an inner light which is drawn down from them, which are drawn into the heart that, in a way that we can understand a little bit of what God is. Omer ein li elo Torah, because a person that says that all I have is the Torah, all I have is the commandments, I want to be like Korach, is afilu Torah ein lo. He doesn't have any emotions. He doesn't have any, how do you say, intimate connection with God. He just knows that God is infinite and God is great, and you just got to do what God wants, right? It says he's missing the whole point. You have to draw down love and fear from God, from above. And what is this done? That's done by means of the tzitzit. So amazingly, these physical things can actually draw down a feeling of godliness in the heart. Okay, a person might say that doesn't make any sense. How can you have a little, these strings that draws down love of God? I mean, love of God is a personal human thing. And the strings are just made of, wool. It's just a fabric you buy. So a lot of times the answer is given with the commandment of matzah. Matzah, in a way, was the first commandment given to the Jewish people as a whole. Matzah is just wheat. And by eating matzah, people got faith in God. They say, okay, how do you do that? So let's just take a regular example of eating food. A person that eats food, right? A person that's hungry, he gets all agitated and he can't think properly and he can't think very deeply. And as soon as he eats food, the food has an effect on him. And it says in the Talmud that even a child, before he eats bread, can't really recognize his parents. He recognizes them like a cat or a dog does, but he doesn't really recognize them in a human way. Until he eats bread. So we see that physical things like bread and food have a personality effect on a person, right? And that's what the Rebbe wants to say here, that the commandments have a personality effect on our Jewish soul. And that's this level of the hairs. And that's what Aaron knew. And that's what it says, Korach. Remember in the beginning? Korach said, I am the son of Yitzhar. I am the son of oil. And Aaron, you're only anointed with oil. So he says, that's exactly the point. Korach, you're too close to the source. Aaron, as the oil, it drips down gradually into the world. That's the purpose of Aaron, to make the world a godly place. The world, the physical world, should transform to be a godly place. Okay, let's see where this ends over here. 1 minute. Okay. So just 1 second. I'm sorry, we lost a lot of time ago. Okay. All right, this is a little bit Kabbalistic. Should we try it? Well, you want to try it? We'll try it. Let's go. Here we go. Okay, it says the shore show, and the source of this. Here, let's go back 1 second. Here we go. Go back to the sentence. That's the beard of Aaron. The beard of Aaron. This is what's called Mochin the Abba, the highest aspect of God's Chachma, which Chachma is life. Okay, and its source, the source of the blessings from Aaron, comes from what's called Yesod Da'ak, Adam Kadmon. Ak, Al Gilgulta, the Erech Anpin, which is on the skull of Erech Anpin. Okay, these are different levels of what's called the crown of God, Atika Kadisha. Okay, that's this level of the oil. This oil is drawn down, the oil from Aaron that's drawn down is poured on the head, and it goes down the beard, and it goes down to the middle, to the garments, which we said that's the emotions. It comes down into the world so that people can actually appreciate God. This comes down by the commandments. That's what it says, Ner Mitzvah. Okay, now just 1 point over here. We say in our prayers every day, the Jewish people, and this is a prayer which is also, it's pretty well known. Ein Kelokeinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kamalkeinu, Ein Kamoshienu. There's nothing like our God. We say there's nothing like our God. Nothing like our God. Okay. There's no God like our God. There's no. So a person would say, what type of what do you call it? Chauvinism? What type of a thing is that to say? There's all these other religions. They worship God. They worship God, and there's religions that are based on Judaism. They worship God, right? Especially the Muslims. The Muslims, they don't, right? According to a lot of opinions, it's okay for a Jew to go into a mosque, not when the Muslims are praying, but to pray because they don't pray to any idol. So it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. There's nothing like our God. Our God is totally unlike anything that any other, what is it, the collegiate definition of monotheism says that God is. Right? What is our God? What's the big deal of why is our God different? Why is our God? First of all, let's just take it in simple English. Our God creates the spiritual. Our God creates the spiritual. Our God is not spiritual and not limited to being spiritual. Our God creates the spiritual. The spiritual is just a creation of God. Want to call it a manifestation of God, whatever, but it's not. The creation is just the creation includes physical and spiritual. So our God is not spiritual God. Our God is above spiritual. That's what he's talking about. That's almost like the God of Korach. Above all the worlds, above everything, above bad, above. But our God favors the physical. Our God cares about intimately each detail of this physical world. Each human being, each animal, each plant, each second of the life of every single plant and bug and everything. Our God cares about each one of these things. Huh? So that second aspect, that second thing about how God is in the details, that comes from the top. That's what it means. Our God is not like, our God is infinitely higher than any of the other gods. He's above the spiritual, infinitely above the spiritual. And because he's incomprehensibly above everything, therefore, he's incomprehensibly involved in every detail. And how do we bring this into the world, that the whole world sees that there's a God that's above the spiritual, that's creating the spiritual, that's creating them and cares about them? That's when the Jewish people do the commandments. That's called being a blessing. That's the commandments. The commandments are an example of this totally impossible to understand. It's not even the category of understanding. And not in the category of understanding. It's like, let's say, a child, coming into a lecture of Albert Einstein, and he's taking pictures. What are you taking pictures? I heard you're wise. I want to take a picture of your wisdom. So you see, the kid doesn't understand anything. You can't take a picture of wisdom. You can't take a picture of wisdom. Same thing. The same thing is a mind, the human mind is not able to take a picture or have any comprehension whatsoever of what God is. It's a whole different world. It's infinitely God's oneness and reality, and is infinitely higher than, incomparable to us, than Albert Einstein's wisdom is to a camera. So he says, but that's what Aaron wanted to bring into the world. He wanted to bring it into the world, that it could be revealed in the world. And that's done by the means of the commandments. And that's, this oil is drawn down by the commandments. The commandments are called a lamp. That's also the same thing as Hanukkah. We learned that the whole holiday of oil. But by the means of the commandments, still things remain in a surrounding way. Right? That's me. How can it be revealed? That's by means of the wisdom of the Torah. The Torah, the commandments are called a lamp, but in order to reveal it, it has to have the strings. The Torah has all these little details. That's the revelation of the understanding of the commandments. A little bit of the ideas. For instance, you put tefillin on your head and on your arm. Why? Because that connects your head to God, your intellect, and your arm to God. Why? Because inside of the tefillin is written that God is one. And when you start to understand what this means and all the details, then you start to bring God a little bit into your mind and then into your heart. That's the idea of the oil which comes down into the beard are the little laws of the Torah. The oil itself doesn't shine, but it shines by means of the oil itself is darkness. Oil shines, but you have to have by means of the wick, and the